Hi everyone, my name is Leslie Alappattu and I'm one of the Assistant Executive Directors at the IESA office in Bloomington, and I do oversee the activity of softball for middle schools. I wanted to take an opportunity today to go over some of the rules changes from the National Federation, changes to our handbook for the IESA, and the softball terms and conditions as you are preparing for the start of the season. Each of the schools that signs up for IESA softball will get an activity mailing from us. Included in that mailing are two documents. The first one is this booklet. The documents listed at the top are included in this booklet. They are also available online. The documents listed on the bottom here are only available online, and you can look at the IESA softball page to find those resources throughout the season. Also in the activity mailing will be a copy of the 2018 NFHS Softball Rules Book. This should be given to the coach. I encourage coaches to keep that on hand, especially as you are traveling from games, and if you have questions regarding a rule, you will be able to consult with that. I wanted to go over some dates and deadlines for softball. Practices and tryouts can begin on July 23rd. If you're a school that is participating in a co-op, all co-op paperwork must be postmarked by July 30th. Games can begin on Saturday, August 4th, and just a couple of weeks after that, on August 28th, all schools' rosters and their records are due online. Online ranking will take place by all schools on August 29th, and brackets will be released after that date. Come September 4th is when your playing rosters are closed, so no changes can be made to the playing roster for regionals, sectionals, and the state finals after September 4th at 4 o'clock p.m. Regionals will take place on September 5th, September 8th, and the regional championship will take place on Monday, September 10th. Sectionals will take place on September 15th at 11 o'clock a.m. That is a Saturday. And our state finals will happen in Normal, Illinois, again at Champion Fields on Friday, September 21st and Saturday, September 22nd. And all seasons must end by October 20th. The next thing that I want to cover are just some changes to the softball terms and conditions from last year to this year. First, by August 4th, which is also the date that games can begin, schools must submit their season schedule online. This change was added to ensure that all schools are listing their contests, making the process of entering the results for those contests hopefully a little bit easier, and so that we can make sure that all schools are competing in 3 games throughout the season, at least 3 games throughout the season. And we have added an additional penalty for schools that do not complete their online roster and record by that August 28th deadline. In the past, that school was put on probation for the following school year. In addition to being put on probation, schools that fail to submit their online roster and record information will not be allowed to seed the teams in their regional. Those teams in their regional will still be able to seed them, but they will not be permitted to seed those other teams. We also added an exception and really just a clarification to NFHS Rule 423 regarding suspended games or games that are stopped for any reason. There was a question about how do we handle regular season games that are suspended, for example, because of weather. So we wanted to clarify and really outline what our policy is for the regular season. If a game is stopped during the regular season for any reason, the school administration of those participating schools may choose one of the following options. First, they can choose to suspend the game and mutually agree to resume the game at a later date and time at the point at which the game was suspended. The team losing at the time of the suspension can forfeit, and the team winning at the time of the suspension can claim this as a win on their record. Alternatively, the team winning at the time of the suspension can forfeit, and thus the team losing at the time of the suspension would claim it as a win on their record. And finally, the fourth option is schools can mutually agree to record the game as a no game. And again, this change was just put in so that we clarify what our state association policy is for our middle schools if there is a suspended game. We've also made a little bit of a change to our host schools for the regional quarterfinal game. If I have designated you as the IESA designated regional host, you are definitely hosting the regional semifinals and the regional championship game. The host of the regional quarterfinal game is the higher seeded team for that game, and those rankings and that seeding will not be put out until ranking is completed and brackets are released at the end of August. One change that we are making for those regional quarterfinal hosts is that we will send you the 2 regulation softballs that need to be used in that game. We anticipate that by the time brackets are released and regional quarterfinals are played on September 5th, we should be able to make sure that those regulation Rawling softballs are in your hands. But just in case, please plan to just have a couple of extra softballs that are regulation size on hand if needed. But we will plan to send those to those regional quarterfinal hosts, which are the higher seeded teams for those games. Couple of changes to our handbook. The IESA pass cards are activity passes that allow administrators to get into contests for free. Generally, there is not a ticket gate during the regular season. A ticket gate is not allowed for softball regionals or sectionals, but this comes into play for the state finals. When schools fill out their regional entry form, which includes the coaches and the players and any managers or statisticians, the school administration is automatically included from our database into your regional entry form. If the school administrator would like to bring a guest at the state finals, so that would be September 21st and September 22nd when we hold the championships in Normal, that school administrator will need to present the activity pass card in order to allow that guest to get in for free. So just a reminder for those pass cards, if an administrator wants to bring a guest, they must present those pass cards at the ticket gate. And the other handbook change that affects softball is about submitting the season schedule by September 4th, but we've already gone over that, and I will send out reminders as we get closer to that date. Regarding the National Federation Rules Book, there are a couple of changes that they have made and clarified some of the rules. First, the coach, pitcher, or the catcher of the defensive team may request an intentional walk before or during the pitch count. There was language added to include that the wristband playbook or play card is considered a piece of equipment and has restrictions on the color that may be used for that. There was a change regarding who is responsible for inspecting the equipment prior to the start of the game. The umpires are no longer responsible for doing equipment checks prior to the start of the game. Each team's coach is responsible for ensuring that their team is using legal equipment. They can certainly ask an official to check if there is a question regarding the legality of any equipment that the team may have. There are still rules in place that provide the umpires with authority to penalize the team if illegal equipment is found. We have also added, or the National Federation has added language giving umpires the authority to allow a reasonable number of warm-up pitches for an incoming pitcher due to circumstances that require a pitcher to be removed by rule. The pitcher may now step back with a non-pivot foot at any time prior to the start of the pitch. There's language that provides clarity and consistency for the restriction of alcohol and tobacco use by participants and officials. And finally, there was a change that required the batter to make an attempt to avoid being hit by a pitched ball in the area between the plate and the batter's box. This portion of the rule had inadvertently been omitted in the past, so that is just included in there as well. We don't have a policy at the IESA restricting students from participating on both at the same time. That decision is up to the local school. So coaches, if you have a parent that asks you that question, you need to consult with your athletic director or your school administration to determine what their policy is regarding students competing on the school team and a non-school team at the same time. And then the second question I often get is regarding color on the uniforms. I encourage you to use your school colors only on the uniforms. Optic yellow is a color that is often questioned in whether or not this is allowed. There are restrictions in the NFHS Rules Book regarding the pitcher and where they can have that color and if they can have that color. My general response is I encourage schools to not use the color optic yellow anywhere on their uniform. If you have a question about it, please feel free to give me a call. Other than that, have a great start to your season. Good luck to your players. I hope everybody stays safe and hydrated. I know it's warming up and continuing to stay warm out there, but more than anything, we hope that you have a positive experience this school year. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Uniform guidelines. If you have questions regarding the uniform guidelines, please feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call at our office. And my light just went off. It's coming back on. There we go.